In this training video, we will walk through setting up your classes for GoGuardian ChromeBook Teacher Monitoring. GoGuardian Teacher allows you to see what is on the screen of every student in your classroom. You can see the active tab the student is currently looking at, as well as any other open tabs in their Chromebook browser. You will also have the ability to close tabs for your students, send messages to students, send links to student devices, and lock student screens. Let's get started. As you can see, I am logged in at teacher.goguardian.com, and we are going to import a class so that we can see what this looks like when you're using it with students on their Chromebooks. Setting up your classrooms is as simple as using the Import Google Classroom button, and as you'll see, it's going to load a list of all of my active Google Classrooms. I'm going to use a demo group that I've created, but if you see all of your classes here, you can choose one or more classes to set them up all in one fell swoop. So I've chosen my demo class. I'm going to import this classroom. And as you can see, it has pulled in all of my demo users that I've set up for the purpose of this activity. Let's head over to our classrooms, and we will start a 60-minute session with the group that we just created and set up. We'll talk in a little bit about how to use the calendar if you'd like to schedule your sessions to start automatically every day on a schedule. But for now, let's imagine this class is walking into my classroom and I'm going to start a 60-minute session right now. So I'm going to click Start Class, and as you'll see, the students will get a little chiclet with a screenshot that is going to update automatically as they log into their Chromebooks, and it's going to show me everything that's going on in every screen in my classroom. Let's take a look at the information available to us on the classroom view here. As you can see, you have a screenshot, a little thumbnail for each of your students, and as your students change their screen as they go to different sites, for example, you can see Dustin just clicked into our classroom group, you'll get a pretty much instant update of what they're looking at. And if let's open a new tab with Dustin, we're going to go to Google, you'll see your view gets updated as soon as your students make a change to their screen. And if you want to get a closer view, you can click on any of those chiclets and you can see exactly what they're doing in real time. And you can even see the other tabs that they have open right now. And from here, if I were so inclined, I could close any of these tabs. So if this Google search is not related to what I'm doing, I can close that tab for that student. So let's go back out to the class view. I can also see, just from the heads up view here, I can see which students have multiple tabs open. For example, Steve, as you can see, has a lot going on. He has an Amazon tab open. He has a couple different Google search tabs open, in addition to the Google Classroom tab where he's supposed to be. This is a good time to point out there is a feature in GoGuardian Teacher called Off Task Alerts, which if we turn this on and click the gear, right now it only works for the 4 core subjects, but if you are teaching one of those subjects, you can choose how sensitive you'd like it to be. By default, it's going to be moderate, which will tell you if a student is off task for more than 30 seconds. Let's set it to strict, so I should get an alert on screen if anyone is off task for more than 15 seconds. And as you can see, I already got one for Steve. So it pops up at the bottom here, and it also highlights his chiclet in orange. So now would be a good time to, if I'm walking around the room, I could just walk over to Steve and redirect him, or I can click to expand and I can maybe close some of these tabs for Steve so that he can come back on task. Let's take a look at all of the controls that you have over Chromebooks in your classroom. Everything that I'm going to show you here can be applied to one or more students or to the entire class. So let's say I'm just choosing to check in on Steve's computer here. I just check the box next to his name, and you'll see some options slide up here at the bottom of the screen. If I wanted to make sure that these apply to Steve and to Robin, I can just continue checking more names. Or if this was something I needed to do for the whole class, I can check up here and it's going to choose everyone currently in the session. So for starters, let's see how we can lock a device. For example, if you're doing direct instruction or you need everyone's attention up front so you can demonstrate how to do something, I've just chosen my entire class and I'm going to lock all their devices. And optionally, I can send a message that they'll see on their screens. And as soon as I click lock, within a second or two, every student device is going to be locked and they can't open new tabs and they can't basically do anything until I unlock them. So when I'm ready, I can unlock them one at a time, or I can choose the whole class and I can unlock everyone. And as you'll see, everyone gets back to exactly what they had open before and they have control of their device again. Let's pick on Steve again and we'll look at some of the other things that we can do. We can also send out a link in a new tab. Here is a link to, let's say Steve doesn't know how to right click. I just pasted the link to a video on how to right click on a Chromebook, and I'm going to click open tab and send that tab over to Steve so he can learn how to do that. That's also a pretty powerful tool if you had a link that you wanted to send to all of your students. For example, let's say I'd like them to read This Day in History, and I didn't put it in my Google Classroom because we just thought of it as a result of a conversation in class. I can choose my whole class. I can choose open new tab, and now I'm going to paste that link and I'm going to send it to the whole class. So now, rather than having everyone try to get to the right spot, I can just send it out to the whole class, and now I know they're landing on the exact page that I needed them to be on. You also have the ability for any student to take a screenshot. For example, right now you can see this student is off topic and not doing what the activity requires. I can click screenshot, and now I have a screenshot in the screenshots tab that I can download for later use. When your session is done, you can click end session and you will go back to your classes. Once a class session is done, you do have the ability to view student reports. So if you needed to see what a student was doing on their Chromebook during a certain time, let's go to Steve since we've been picking on him. You pick your class, your student, and then you pick a range of dates and then click view report, and you get a summary here of where that student was spending their time, what they were Googling. You can see how many times their screens were locked, how many times you opened a tab, how many times you closed tabs, how many sites were blocked. You can see any screenshots that you've taken for that student, and then you get a detailed browsing history with a timestamp, and you can see exactly what that student was doing during your class session on their Chromebook. So we've covered a lot of ground, and we've seen just enough of the basics to get started using GoGuardian Teacher with your students. We've seen how you can log in at teacher.goguardian.com. We've seen how you can use the Google Classroom import option to pull all of your students in. And we've seen how you can create sessions and monitor your students in real time. We've seen how you can view which tabs they have open and close distracting tabs. We've seen how you can click on a student to get a closer look. We've seen how you can lock screens, and we've seen how you can send links out to one student, multiple students, or even to an entire class. And we've seen how you can use screenshots and student reports to report and document what students have been doing on their Chromebooks.